Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Steve Hatherley in the studio. Hello, Steve.
Hello. Thanks for having me back. I'm looking forward to our topic today.
Yes, me too. Always a pleasure doing Takeaway Chinese.
I'm looking forward to disagreeing with our topic today.
What you talking about?
Well, there's a statistic that we're going to share.
Yes.
That I plan on denouncing.
Okay, then let's better quickly get into the content. And today's content is about the theme youth.
Yes.
And youth, by the way, in Chinese is 青年.
青年.
Yes, 青 carries the meaning of young, vibrant, and green. Actually, in itself, the character is green. And 年 suggests 年龄, age. So young age.
Youth. 青年.
青年, because we actually have a slew of words using that principle. We have 童年, that's childhood. 少年, that's kind of like adolescence. And 青年, youth. 中年, middle age, because 中 is middle and 年 represents age.
Okay.
Makes total sense. Middle age. 中年. 壮年, it's like strong age, but it's talking about already very, let's say, reliable and strong and independent and able to support other groups. So 壮年. 壮年is, I think, a nicer way of talking about 中年. 中年is relatively neutral. It's like saying middle age. There's no connotation, whereas 壮年is like strong age.
So in Chinese, whenever you're referencing an age without saying the number.
Age group.
Yeah, an age group.
Yes.
Then you use the word 年.
Yes. And finally, we've also got 老年. That's like the elder generation, the elder age.
老年.
老年. So 童年.
童年.
童年 is a little bit different though. Actually, I should not be sharing the word 童年 in this group because 童年, childhood is more like a how do you call it? A way to address childhood instead of a age group. So we use 少年. 少年 is like adolescent or teenager group.
Okay.
So 少年, 青年, 中年, 壮年, 老年. These are the kind of age group words.
Okay, let me go over those one more time. So a teenager would be 少年.
少年.
少年. A young person or a youthful person would be 青年.
青年.
青年. Question. Can that refer to someone's energy or attitude? Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. It depends on the context. You should always explain a little bit if you're using it to refer to their spirit, their condition, their spiritual status.
Because somebody can be a little bit older but still have a youthful spirit, right?
Yes, definitely. And that is why there is this Chinese saying, 男人至死是少年. Male are always youthful until they die of old age.
Is that a nicer way of saying men never grow up?
A little bit.
Let's see. What else did I learn there?
中年.
中年.
That's middle age.
Yeah, middle-aged. And then for older people, the elderly?
老年.
老年.
Yes, and these are some words we already share without getting into the free takeaway. But for those of you who are interested in Chinese culture and who want to get a grip on the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes and you soon see the real words. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. We've already shared some vocabularies about different age group, about youth, middle age, teenager, elder, and also the strong age group. I have to say, though, 壮年 is not exactly an age group. It's more like talking about someone who is with a bit of age, yet do not want to specify it, and are also really strong and with a lot of vitality. So I think it's more of still a 青年, 中年, 老年. Those are more like age-wise or age-focused.
Okay, so the other one is referencing more about the person rather than the age group that they might fall into.
A little like that. And besides that, let me ask you about this question. Do you still consider yourself young?
100%.
Right?
Yes, because
I would say so for you, by the way.
For me, my definition of young, I didn't come up with this. This is kind of a common thing, is that age is just a number. We have another expression in English, you are as old as you feel. Mm-hmm. So if you feel 80, then you are 80. But if you're 80 and you feel 25, well, then you're 25. Maybe not physically, but it's more about a state of mind than it is an actual number. So I still feel young. I still act young, maybe a little bit too much sometimes. But yeah, I think I have a youthful spirit. What's your answer to that question?
I would also say yes.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, young or feeling young or youth, it's a mental definition you give yourself. And it has something to do with whether or not you would like to embrace change,
Yes.
whether or not you're still curious about the world, whether or not you are tolerant enough for other people's different ideas. If someone is in their 20s, yet they're stubborn, they do not want to have a life that is full of possibilities and full of changes, and they do not want to agree to anyone's idea who's the different from theirs, then I don't think they're that young anyway.
Although we can have a young person who enjoys music from decades ago.
Oh, that's different.
Right.
That's just a good taste.
Well, we have a term for that, though. Someone who enjoys old music or music from a long time ago, they might be a little bit more, I don't know, conservative in their thoughts. We call this kind of person an old soul. Have you ever met that kind of person? Maybe they're like 24 years old, but it just feels like you're talking to someone in their mid-40s whenever you talk to them. And that's not an insult, by the way. It's just kind of a personality trait. We call that kind of person an old soul.
I thought my son has an old soul
He's
when he
very young.
was born because of the facial expression. But now I know maybe it's just because he could not see things clear enough. That's why he looks confused and a little bit, serious. But I get your point.
Do you have a term in Chinese for that?
Yes, I was about to say that. We do not really have a term for a young person with an old soul, but we do have a term, 年轻的心, a young heart.
A young heart.
Yes. So 年轻 is the adjective for young. So if you say 他很年轻, you're saying he is young. So 青年 is youth, and 年轻, different characters, by the way, would be young.
Okay.
So 年 here is the 年龄 character, so the age character, and 轻 actually in itself means light.
Light.
Yes, so if someone is light on its age, it's just because not many numbers are there. So that's young.
Okay.
And 心 is heart. So 年轻的心, a young heart. The thing about Chinese is that instead of saying this person has a young brain, we're saying he has a young heart.
I understand. 年轻的心.
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 Yes.
年轻的心. A youthful, an old soul. No, the opposite.
The opposite,
Yeah,
young heart.
a young heart.
And I don't think there is a term for an old soul. We might say 成熟, mature, but like in English, it's mature. It's not old soul.
Well, but that's kind of the meaning of an old soul, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we do not have a term for it, but if you in Chinese, you directly translate the old soul, like in Chinese, you say 他有一个老灵魂, he has an old soul, people would understand.
The statistic I said that I would like
Yes,
to denounce.
what was that?
For statistical purposes, the United Nations defines youth as people between the ages of 15 and 24. And that's not a universal definition. For everyday purposes, youth is a flexible category. In China, for example, youth is defined as people between 14 and 35. But even putting a definition of what it means to be young, I guess for statistical purposes, you have to do that. For research purposes, you might have to do that. But for life purposes, I find this completely unnecessary.
And there is one more purpose that you can kind of define someone's age group. That is to have a day celebrating the younger people.
Oh, okay. Like Children's Day?
Like Children's Day, and in China, we also have Youth Day. That falls on the 4th of May.
So statistically, even a 35-year-old Chinese person can celebrate Youth Day.
Yes, because according to Chinese definition, if you're under the age of 40, you can celebrate Youth Day. And the reason behind it is not to insult people who are over that age.
Right.
It's more like to celebrate the young spirit and to give people who are not yet achieve any milestone in their life, who might are still searching for the path of development, who might still, are a little bit confused about what to do and having a lot of, questions in their life, for them to feel actually better about their stage in life. Because in Chinese, we actually have another phrase, 不惑之年, or 40不惑. 40 means 40. 不惑 means not many questions. It means that once you pass the age of 40, you have figured out a lot of things in life.
Is that true?
I hope.
True?
I don't know. I'm not there yet.
All of our 40-year-old listeners are going, huh? Well, that's the assumption, though, isn't it?
Kind of wishful
or
thinking.
Hope,
yes. So I think that is related to identifying 40 as the ceiling of youth, meaning that if you're past the age of 40, you might already have a lot of certainty in your life. But if you're not, there is also still a day for you.
But have you ever heard the expression, life begins at 40?
That makes a lot of sense, too.
Do you have any kind of equivalent in Chinese, I wonder? Like life begins at 30, life begins at 50, something like that?
We do not specifically have that, but just like we have 40不惑, so in 40s, you have answered many questions in life already. If it answers 2 questions you have in life, we also say 30而立.
30而立.
Yes, 立 means stand up or establish. It means that in your 30s, you've probably already established something in your life, established a proper job or land on a good job that you can start from, and also established a family and something that you have established.
Something like that.
Following that, a little off today's topic, we also have 50知天命, meaning that in your 50s, you know about your life destiny. You know exactly where you're going. And 60耳顺, in your 60s, you would hear the things in the world and always understand the positive side of it. So you don't hear bad words or bad news anymore. You can always find the good things. And
so that's more related to wisdom.
Yes.
How do you say wisdom in Chinese?
智慧.
智慧.
智慧. This is also a very important and interesting character or word with 2 characters, because in Chinese, we believe 智, the character 智, means we say 急中生智. So when you are in a position or in a situation where you need to react really quick and find out a solution very fast. 急, so it means in a hurry or something that you need to react quickly. Then you would come up with an idea. The ability to do that is 智. And 静极生慧. So when you're quiet, when you're not in a hurry of anything, it comes wisdom, the kind of much bigger and more profound kind of smart. It's not exactly smart, it's wisdom.
When do you think wisdom comes in someone's life? Is it during a specific age period? Kind of like the Chinese definition?
I think it's more about your status, like the kind of work you do, the kind of concentration you put, the things that you care about, the kind of thinking that you do, the way you do it. So again, the Chinese word 智慧 putting together, it talks about the smart you need navigating in life. Yet I think it covers situation where you need to react really fast and the situation where you actually need to pause take your time and
Yeah.
find out the better solution.
All of those things.
All of those things.
Yeah, right.
智慧.
智慧.
Do you think young people also have 智慧?
I think they can.
They can, and
Yeah.
they have their own versions as well, I think.
Yeah, it might be a little bit different from our stereotypical definition of wisdom. But knowing which things are important, knowing which things aren't important, that can come at any stage of life, I think. A lot of it might depend on the things that have happened to you
Life experience.
in your life. You know, some people go through challenges. How do you say challenges in Chinese?
挑战.
挑战. Some people go through a lot of challenges, 挑战, in their younger years, and that kind of forces them to grow up perhaps a little bit faster than other people would. But having those difficulties or those challenges can bring wisdom. And it doesn't matter how old you are when those things come to you in your life.
But a very common theory in especially today's Chinese social media is that what has caused us to be wiser is not the challenges that stand in front of us. It's more of how we react to the challenges and to the problems.
Right.
So instead of being gratitude to the difficulties in life, people are saying we are thankful for how I reacted in front of those.
Yeah, but to learn how to react to those things, you have to have them happen to you. It's kind of like a chicken or egg situation a little bit, but if you are just standing in a room by yourself for the first 30 years of your life, you can't gain a whole lot of wisdom about the world or about people or about... So if you have some of those... I guess it doesn't have to be challenges. Maybe that's not the right way to phrase it. Maybe experience is a better way to put it.
Yeah, and it's always important to learn from past experiences because
Hopefully.
I sometimes tend to complain about difficulties, whether the difficulties are generated by people surrounding us or by the environment itself. But actually, like you said, when we are put into these situations, the better thing to do is to find a good way to solve the problems and to gain the 智慧, the wisdom.
Yeah, but that's so hard because what will your emotions do if you're not using them to make your logical decisions?
That is definitely true.
Right?
Yes.
That's the hard part, isn't it?
That's the hard part. So, at the same time, what do you think are some other good words you'd like to use to describe someone with a young heart?
Well, I think a lot of young people these days have become maybe more independent than, I don't know if I can say than in the past, but I definitely think that independence is a word that we can use to describe today's youth. How do you say independent or independence?
Independence in Chinese would be 独立.
独立.
This is interesting because 独 means soul, solely, solo, and 立, same 立 with 30而立, so stand. If you can
standing alone.
Standing alone, stand by yourself, or more accurately, establish by yourself, then you're independent.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to describe part of that 智慧. That
智慧,
yes. When you gain independence, then you gain some wisdom, perhaps, at the same time.
Another word I personally really like is 热血.
热血.
Yes, so 热 means hot, and 血 means blood.
Hot-blooded.
Hot-blooded. It means you believe in things. You believe in a good cause. You believe that people are good and we need to fight for the good.
热血.
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 Yes. It's passionate, it's enthusiastic, it's knowing that something might be really, really, really hard to do, yet still are daring enough and strong enough and brave enough to do it.
It's like passionate then.
It's like passionate.
Passion and enthusiasm mixed together.
Mixed together.
When I think of gaining wisdom, growing up, gaining independence, I think of adventure and I think of risk taking.
Sure.
A little bit. Because I think taking risks in your life can lead you to good decisions. some bad
And
decisions.
sometimes bad ones.
Sometimes bad decisions, but still, it's all part of the experience. So how do you say like risk-taking or taking risks or something like that?
I think it's more like 冒险精神, adventurous spirit.
Adventurous spirit.
Yeah, I think we use that term more often. So 冒险,
冒险.
yes, that means take adventures, risk it, and 精神 is spirit. So 冒险精神.
冒险精神.
Yes, so we say someone is with a spirit that likes to take adventures. So 他很有冒险精神. He is full of the adventurous spirit. 冒险精神.
How about those who, we talked about the term old soul before. What about someone who is maybe a little naive, a young person who's naive, but naive is a negative word. It has negative connotations, right? But I'm just talking about being pure or being innocent in the world.
Well, there definitely is a Chinese word for innocent. We say, or pure, 单纯.
单纯.
But I feel like 单纯 is also a little bit closer to a little naive. 天真单纯. It's kind of like, well, even the word pure. If you're calling someone in their 20s or 30s, say, well, he's got a pure soul. He doesn't think about things. It's not exactly a good pure, right?
Well, it can be, right? So if you're talking about somebody who always trusts people, always thinks that people will tell them the truth, always takes things at face value, and we describe that person as kind of innocent or pure, that's almost complimentary in a way.
I think 纯真 would be a better one. 纯 carries the meaning of pure, and 真 carries the meaning of stay true to whatever. Stay true to it. So 纯真.
纯真.
But still, always read the room. Always read the context.
Read the world.
Not only, yes, read the world, but also when people use that word, you should still be a bit careful.
Oh, really? Because I think it's kind of a lovely thing to have, even though it might lead to getting hurt over and over and over and over again.
It's definitely a good word or good character to have. And in Chinese we say 他很有少年感. So 少年, we talk about it's adolescents or teenagers or young person, and 感 is a feeling. So a feeling of a young, like to the extent of teenager kind of young. But this is not talking about being innocent or a little bit gullible. It's talking about still very passionate, 很热血, and also pure in a definitely good way. And sometimes even a bit shy, meaning that this person is not that sophisticated in the society just yet.
Yeah.
It's definitely a huge compliment, especially if we're talking about male. It's almost like, for some girls, it's almost like saying, wow, he's very attractive because his clothes is clean, not that sophisticated, and he is acting like he still believes in all the dreams and all the mighty goals. Definitely a compliment. 少年感.
少年感.
Yes. You have 少年感.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
I have to get that on a t-shirt then.
So 有少年感 is definitely a compliment and a good way to describe someone with a young spirit, with a young heart.
Is that exclusive to men, or can we use that about anybody?
We can use it to anybody, and for some people, maybe it's a bit more common when you use it to describe men.
Got it.
Especially for someone who is with a little bit age.
I see.
If he's already just a kid, maybe it's not necessary.
Understood. It depends on the context of the situation.
Definitely. Actually, here in China, we describe different generations differently than in the Western world. In the Western world, there are baby boomers, Gen Z, Gen X, and
Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha for sure. But I think it's not exactly a round number, right? these generations starts from like 1995 to 2005?
It depends on what they define it by the years you were born. If you were born in a specific window, then they apply you to that specific generation.
The same thing here in China. It's just that in China we use round numbers. So it's like those born after 1979. It's like from 1980 to 1989. Then we call them 80后 because it's 1980. 80 actually means 80. So after 1980s, that will be 80后. After 1970, that's 70后. And after 1990s, 90后 because 90, 90. And the 00, 00, that's just 2000s after 2000. So it's actually, I think, easier here in China.
We do it in two different ways in English, I guess, because we have the things that you mentioned, like Gen Z, like the generations, right? Gen Z, Gen Y, Gen X. But then we can divide it by decade too. Like I'm an 80s kid. I was a 90s kid.
Yeah, that's how Chinese people do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you'll hear that a lot when people are discussing pop culture. Like, for example, oh, do you remember the TV show Friends? Oh, yeah, definitely. I was a 90s kid.
That makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Yeah, I used to watch it with my family or whatever, something like that.
That exactly was what happened to me.
The times that we just use those terms like Gen Z, Gen Y, baby boomer, you'll hear that a lot in the news, but you won't hear that as much in daily conversation. Yeah, when people are talking about themselves. When people are talking about themselves, they refer more to the decade that they were born. As opposed to the generation that they belong to.
Then I guess the situation here in China is that we use the year that we're born in both news reports and our daily lives. So besides the good characters, the things to celebrate about 青年, about the youth, do you think we have certain, by saying we, I mean all of us who define ourselves as the younger generation, do you think we have any challenges that are particularly true to this age group?
I think there are, specific to which age group? Any particular age group?
Maybe those below 45 or below 40.
It depends, right? I'm not trying to avoid your question. I just think it totally depends because, for example, some people will get married in their 20s and have a baby in their 20s or something like that. And then they're dealing with a whole different list of challenges than someone who delays marriage and children until, say, their 40s or something like that. Every person in the world has a list of challenges. It's just, I don't think we can define what those challenges are through a blanket statement or even, culture by culture. I think it's just whatever you happen to be going through at any particular stage of life. But that said, when we talk about high school years, those challenges are similar globally, I think. University years, same when you enter the job market. I think the challenges change as you go through life. What we hope when we're young is that the challenges disappear.
They never disappear.
And then when you get a little older, you realize they never disappear. They just change.
Yes. And if one thing that I can describe about with the blanket term or blanket idea, I think would be that the younger generation in my parents' generation, for example, or the younger group of people in my parents' generation, for example, and the younger people in today's day and age face different opportunities and challenges.
Yeah.
In today's day and age, we look at a time with information explosion, with the development of technology in a speed that is hard for every individual to catch on. And we are looking at numerous possibilities, yet also looking at fierce competition. And that's just our destiny. It's just our life.
I think the competition starts earlier for people now than it did before smartphones and social media existed.
Yes, but the condition for them to figure out what they really like and really want, and the access for them to cultivate their great traits, they have or the talent that they have is also being more abundant.
Yeah, you could argue that as well. I mean, with something like social media and the internet and all of the tablets and devices that we're using these days and that young people are growing up with, there's a list of advantages and a list of disadvantages too. So the challenges are similar in a sense, but they're also very different in a sense, right?
Yes, but no matter which age or which era or time you're in, youth or a young heart is always something to celebrate, especially on China's Youth Day. 就祝大家青年节快乐啦 Happy Chinese Youth Day.
I thought you just said Happy New Year again. I was like, wait a minute, we did that already.
Youth Day, 青年节快乐. Hopefully all of you would embrace a young heart, and that means no matter which age group you fall into, you can always celebrate the Youth Day.
That I do agree with.
And that brings us to the end of today's Takeaway Chinese. I am Niu Honglin with Steve in the studio. For more episodes of the show, you can visit our website at radio.cgtn.com and go to the column podcast. You can also listen to the show and read the script there. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Just search for Takeaway Chinese. Don't forget to leave your questions, comments, and a 5-star rating. 感谢收听，我们下次再见。
谢谢, thank you, see you next time.